Hello and welcome. You are watching ET Now and I am Prakash Priyadashi. I am joined by the Union Pharma Secretary, Mr. Manoj Joshi. We are grateful to you, sir, for speaking with us on ET Now. I'll begin with the upcoming summit, which is India Medical Devices Summit 2026. The event is scheduled for the 7th and 8th August. Could you please elaborate on the theme of this summit and, of course, the targets that the government has envisaged?
The summit brings all the stakeholders together, industry, regulators, government, hospitals. I think the idea is to discuss what are the issues before the sector, before the industry, and what should various stakeholders do so that there is a deepening of value chain ecosystem for medical devices in India, and what are the steps one should take on the regulatory side or supporting the industry or on supply of components and deepening of the entire value chain.
Okay, so I was going through the areas of deliberations, which include strengthening testing infrastructure and, of course, quality assurance. Could you please break down the specific efforts being made at this point in time by the government in this direction?
The testing laboratory system in India affects export industry quite a lot, because when they have to export items to particularly Europe, they have to a lot of times send items to Europe for testing, which is time consuming and expensive. So I think for export purposes, we require a much better lab infrastructure in the country, which is recognized by the European regulators and other regulators. So that is very much required for export industry. For domestic market, the requirements are much more liberal, and the lab setup is already existing. So, but for export market, it is very important.
So, will it be part of the forthcoming summit, or deliberations will be taken forward?
Industry has been raising this issue with the government, and the effort of the government is to have labs in India which are recognized by the foreign regulators. And this is a continuous dialogue which we would discuss in the summit also.
So, India's medical device sector is currently pegged at around $15 billion, despite the fact that we are facing geopolitical uncertainties. So, what a specific target that the government has set at this point in time for this sector over the next 5 years?
Indian medical devices sector is growing quite fast, particularly last 7-8 years. We've seen the growth in hospital sector, corporate hospital sector, and the ownership profile. And with increasing corporatization and increasing number of hospitals, Indian medical devices sector is also growing quite fast. Particularly since COVID, we have seen large-scale investment happening in Indian medical devices sector. High-end medical devices, imaging devices, that coupled with the coming of PLI scheme, brought in a lot of investment both by the domestic players as well as by the foreign players. So high-end devices, particularly a lot of assembly operations with a low value add is happening in India. The effort of government is that the value addition in the sector should increase from, say, about 20-25% to, say, 40-45%, particularly on the electronic side, component side. So the effort is that more and more component industry comes in India, and that would lead to deepening of the value chain in India. That is with regard to the high-end imaging devices. On the consumables and disposables and the implants, in the last 7-8 years, we've seen large number of Indian companies gaining strength and global reach. They are exporting quite a lot with the good quality products. Implants, there are 3-4 Indian companies who have large exports to Europe and other countries. Similarly, consumables and disposables, there are large number of Indian producers. Most of them are focused on Indian markets, but about 8 or 10 producers have gone to European markets and other East Asian markets and improving quality, improving their exports. The target of the government is that more and more Indian industry they are able to export more to the Europe and to other regulated markets. And the size of the industry and the quality improvement takes place. If you see the IVD devices industry, all these diagnostic equipment, RT-PCR testing machines, their reagents, that industry is hardly there in India. And most of the products are imported products. So we would like uh, production to start taking place both for the reagent and the equipment in India. Maybe it would be initially some assembly operations with low value add, and gradually the component industry and supply chains would improve in India.
Right. So, any specific target that has been set?
As I said, it would, for each segment, the approach needs to be different. Where there is already some production happening in India, both either by Indian or by foreign producers, we would like deepening of value chain, more component industry coming in India. Where there is no production, we would like some production to take place. And where the, there is a predominant domestic industry, we would like their quality exports to go up. So the targets and approach for each of these segments is different.
Right, sir. And we are amongst the market leaders when it comes to finished product exports. But we remain largely dependent on exports to meet our domestic requirement when it comes to critical pharma equipments. So when can we expect to achieve Atmanirbharta in this segment as well?
Look, as you said, Indian market is about $15–16 billion, growing rapidly.
Right.
But the global market is about $600 billion, and again growing. So you need to produce in India if you want to produce in India for the global market. Indian market for low-end consumables and disposables,
Right,
probably Indian market might be sufficient. But when you go to the high end, for R&D, for product development, for developing supply chains, you need to target the global market. Otherwise, competing with the big global players is difficult. So the purpose is that for few products in which we have strength, we produce for the world and in India. And for the rest of it, where the market is smaller, we will continue to import. It's because healthcare is also important. You can't put import barriers and a very high duties against imports. So imports continue to come, and our patients, our hospitals require it. So it's a slow development, a gradual development process where we focus on the items in which we have strength and we supply to the world. And for rest of the items, we will continue to import.
So any deadline for the rest of the items?
As I said, no company in the world can produce for whole world all the products. So there are different companies, different segments. In some segments, we will produce for the whole world and for the Indian market. In a lot of other segments, we will continue to import. No country, including US and Europe, produce everything. So there is such a wide variety of medical devices that it's not feasible. If we start producing everything, then probably we will be the only producer in the world, which is
so the approach,
not feasible.
Yeah, so the approach is to strike a better balance between import and exports, right?
Yeah, so our idea is that our share in the global market should keep rising. We should develop the entire value chains and component industry in India. We should continue to do R&D and product development, move towards more and more newer specs. But for the products in which we have strength.
Okay. Allow me to come to the points. In fact, efforts that the government is already making to increase overall domestic manufacturing. We have a PLI scheme as well. Could you please provide us with the current details, and has the scheme started delivering results?
The PLI scheme was started 5–6 years back. We saw a lot of investment taking place both by foreign players on high-end imaging devices and by Indian industry for implants and consumable disposables and also some of the high-end equipment. Dispersal of incentive is slightly less. More investment has taken place. It probably takes time for companies to set up industry, get regulatory approvals, and penetrate the market. Particularly for new players, penetration of market takes time. People go more for the established names, established brands for buying products, both private hospitals as well as in government. So that deepening of market by Indian players has started. I think we have reached a stage where there is a probably need for more industries to come and more probably another version of PLI or some other scheme from the government to support industry. As I said, the purpose is wherever investment has already taken place. We are making CT scans, Linacs, MRIs, X-ray machines. There we would like more value addition, domestic value addition to take place to go to 40-45%. The items which we are not producing, such as those IVD diagnostic machines and their reagents, all these RT-PCR machines, and some of the high-end, say, 3T MRIs, we would like some production to take place in India. And consumables and implants, we would like Indian industry to go out further and explore global markets. More Indian companies should do a high quality production and cater to the regulated markets. So it's a different segments, slightly different approach. But yes, we have reached a certain stage, and I think a change in gear is required, probably with some more support from the government and some more effort from the Indian industry.
During the, of course, ongoing crisis in the West Asia, which affected the overall supply scenario, it also affected our overall exports growth as well. However, the Finance Ministry in its monthly economic review report has said that suggests that the situation is now improving. So what is your take on that, and what is the current status at this point in time?
In medical devices industry, there was some issues on the helium supply for MRI machines. They depend on helium. Import of helium was affected and continues to have problems because supplies are from one or two sources in Middle East. There's no domestic production for helium. There are issues with regard to magnets, which are imported primarily from China, particularly MRI machines. So those supply chains, globally, magnets have become more scarce and supply chains have been affected. Rest of the medical devices sector, the electronics chips have become much more expensive. Availability is not that affected, but I think the prices have gone up substantially. These are the 3-4 areas which are affected mainly.
It appears that the West Asia crisis, in fact, crisis is now re-emerging. So what specific steps are being taken by the government to address the evolving challenges?
We are working with industry so that the supply chains are not affected. At least the availability is not affected. Prices, I don't think anyone can control when the global crisis is there or the globally prices are going up. The industry has to bear and the costs go up. But availability is something we are working with industry and with the global suppliers.
So is there any consideration is there any proposal under consideration to allow industry to increase prices of essential drugs? Because of course, as you mentioned that there is a price escalation in the global market in the view of the West Asia crisis. So is there any proposal under consideration of the government?
I think the general approach which we have conveyed to industry is wherever the API prices have gone up substantially, maybe because of West Asia crisis or otherwise. If the industry provides us the data, we are willing to look at increase in prices, particularly where the availability is severely affected. I think the test for whether prices have gone up so much that we need a price revision is availability. If availability is getting affected in the market, we are willing to have a look at the prices. If prices are going up, but still the availability is there in the drug in the market, probably there is a less of a case for price increase. So it depends on case to case, and we look forward to industry providing us data to NPPA and us looking at it.
Okay, so you are saying that the whole issues are being under discussion, or it's being reviewed?
There are more than few thousand drugs in the market. So whichever drug industry makes a case to us, provides us the data, we examine it and take action on that. You don't do it across the board because even if the price increases have taken place, across the board increase probably is only the packaging material and some solvents and some transportation costs. Rest differs from drug to drug.
My last question before I let you go, and of course it is coming from the external sector. How will the government address the industry's concern following the President Trump's announcement regarding new tariffs or fresh tariffs on generic drugs?
The Indian industry has been making investments in the US. There are probably more than 40 formulation plants in the US by Indian industry. So they make their commercial calls as to whether to invest in export from US FDA approved plants in India or to set up a plant in the US. As far as the drugs are concerned, I think the formulation factories are one part of the cost. So when you see marketing costs, branding costs, product development costs, it's part of the entire value chain. I think the most profitable portion is the branding and marketing or the product development. It's slightly less on the formulation side. So it's a industry would take its call. They already set up factories in many countries, including in India, but they will probably wait and take decisions sometime back, after some time. Similarly, for bulk drug, there are requests from the US for setting up the bulk drug factories in US by Indian industry, but probably it's much more difficult in bulk drugs. Developing value chains and the cost disadvantages are far more in the US. So I think it's a decision by the industry depending upon the tariff levels, depending upon the cost disadvantages or increase in cost in different markets, and they would take an appropriate decision at the right time.
Have you reached out to you, I mean, the department?
So look, as I said, Indian industry has plants in India as well as abroad. So they keep doing these decisions. They set up plants in US, they set up plants in Europe. They keep buying companies abroad to market.
We've seen some examples
for purchase of technology, for purchasing of marketing networks, for purchasing of brands. So these decisions are taken by the companies. The government of India obviously is taking up with the US for reduction of duties, the proposed duties of 100%. It's not very conducive to trade and not very conducive to public health and the global supply chains. So there has to be a balance, and so we'll continue to take it up with the US government.
Okay. It's a pleasure talking to you, sir. And thank you so much for taking out time for us. And it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.